our culmination of the first open reading. We'll be back in about 2 to 3 minutes with our first first feature reader, Sean Heaney. And in the meantime, order up and we'll do that.
I really like it. It's related to the you'll see what I mean. Written by it never ends. You're always nervous.
First feature, a gentleman who goes back to the Stone Soup days. Hallelujah. Sean Heaney, despite his absurdly young countenance, he's on the planet for ages, constructing marvelous poetic forms, and we love him for a lot of reasons, mainly because he's a great poet, but also because he loves Jack Kerouac. So with no further ado, let's have Sean Heaney. Great hand.
These first 3 poems are dedicated to Anna Akhmatova, patron saint of Russian poetry. The first is called The Blessing of the Fields. The field has grown ripe for haying. Come, my lady, and we will ride the bay mare together, and sprinkle the grass with rose water to bless the meadow. The hay is tall and tipped with purple and vermilion. You can see the hands of the wind bending the blades to ripple and darken the waves upon it. May its yield be enough to hold our horses through the winter. Look where the white laurel has snowed upon the lawn. Gather the fallen petals, love, and we will weave a cross of rosebriar and wildflowers and carry it over the cool grass of the shaded bridle path to where the horses graze. Fill the apron of your peasant dress with blackberries, so ready for picking that they bleed to the touch. We will have them for breakfast when we skim the cream off the top of a blue glass jar of fresh milk carried from the neighboring farm. The woman who lives there is coming to cut our hay, and she has given my barefoot girl an armload of gladiolas from her garden. At home we'll put them in a cut glass vase and lay them on the table with a bowl of fruit and a loaf of bread, the fertile bounty of our love and praise. Wedding in White. The theme of the wedding was a seasonal dream, when winter and spring came on the same day. All morning I watched the reception of wet snow on budding branches and early bloomers, as if to show that nature would have her final say, and things would die and things would grow. By afternoon the snow veiled the pastures and began to blind the windows, sending wind down the chimney to sing in the empty stove, and snapped at last the electric wires, and this old house found itself again lit by candle power, as the drifts climbed the clapboards. By nightfall the farm was a black and white world. This freak storm comes of white magic, wise woman, white like yesterday's flowers and feathers in your hatband, white like the page that holds your pure words, white like the lacy hem of your folded dress, white like your shoulders and thighs and breast, white like the starched sheets of linen on your bridal bed, all as white as what we dreamed together, asleep under the curved spine of the Aphrodite tree laden with snow outside our window. A pox on this house. This house was long ago divided and set against itself. Everyone was sent out alone and turned upon their own ways. Empty now of big family growing pains, the toys are in the attic and the spiders spin the fallen moss in the corners. Grapes no longer grow over the walls as of old. The arbor is an empty frame. The elderberries haven't come back as they once did, and there's a dead rat in the ceramic wine vat in the cellar. The gardens have choked and growing over. Climbing milkweed and sumac trees are coming in to clean the fields. Now we know we may have been poisoned, long and slow, by something leaking underground into the water in the well. The pointed pentagram nailed on the shed wall charts hell and spins a curse to the 4 corners of the farm. The first woman of this house was a witch, Anna, and became a pariah when the village learned of her practices and strange spells. Driven from the land, she put her hand over this place. When the rabble came with sticks and torches, she drove the horse-drawn cart, while the old man stood in the back of the wagon and held the mob off her with a pitchfork. With the reins in one hand, she mumbled incantations to the air, touched a black crucifix between her tits, and fingered a wreath of human hair. These next come under the heading of Menagerie, and they're dedicated to Lord Byron, Sigmund Freud, and Harpo Marx. The first is called Field Trip. Sturbridge Village, a time capsule plantation preserving the life of our Puritan fathers for visiting school children, sleepwalking through a detailed description of the loom and spinning wheel by a textbook pilgrim. The hook and weave of colored thread to whole cloth, from a simple pattern, a small stitch in a grand design, a woman pulling 13 stars in a circle. But the by-road recital is upset by the clank and rattle of a cowbell, and a school of restless feet are turned out to the meadow ahead of teacher and chaperone. The bull stood in the sun, boot black and shining, with his bovine at bay, his tail switching like a licorice whip, as if waiting for the assembly to gather to cheer his conquest. He pawed, snorted, and circled her, before his rutting thrust on her splayed flanks collapsed her haunches and pushed her blunt snout in the dust through the railings. The dull horn of his lowing bray scattered the shrieking girls away, but the boys roared in full-throated bellow and showered the bull with strings of rock candy and souvenir pen and pencils as they scaled the beams and stormed the gate. Red-faced teacher of science could not restore order. The primer birthed a dozen little minotaurs to riot the ride home, torturing the girls to tears with gleeful hair-pulling teasing as they rocked the bus with foot-stomping, unison singing, 99 bottles of beer on the wall, 99 bottles of beer. Youth, blood, juice, and strength's rising spiral. Brute ignorance, knowing nothing yet of being led by a ring in the nose to the altar, the pen, and the slaughter. It's called Like a Rabbit. Quick like a bunny, my mother would say, and we children would run to her to play Skin the Rabbit and be stripped of clothes pulled over our heads to be bathed before sleeping. As only days ago I raised my arms in surrender to you, little one, in your white apartment in the city. Now alone amidst the swaying towers of trees, my feet falling through the crystal crust of deep snow packed into powder underneath, I would borrow grace from you on my blundering way, as I pick up the track of the snowshoe rabbit, whose pads flit like snow fleas over the frozen surface, leaving impressions of delicate triangles atop the glaze. And when she flew past me, she was only a blur, to crash in the thicket, tearing tufts of gray and white fur on the woven sprays of naked thorns. She fled from me as if I were a hunter, for she was the only clean shot to sound in the dense cold. I carry no stick of fire to stop her. My kind will only kill what it can eat, and I've been told that hair is a dark and melancholy meat.